Coach Stone Podcast.
I want to welcome everyone to the Coach Stone Podcast. This is episode 4 of the podcast. I have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine too. Well, I hope he's a good friend of mine. But what I want to do is, before I start and introduce my guest, I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast 1, 2, and 3, and you can go back and listen to them all. I also want to thank JC Hawks Radio and JC Sports Network for talking me into doing this. With my listeners, remember the game plan of the podcast is very simple. We'll have a pregame introduction with our guests at this soon, and then we will have a kickoff question. After the kickoff question, we will have a first drive question. After the first drive question, we'll take a halftime break or a water break. After that, we will then come back from the halftime, get a kick return question for our guests. Then we'll get a second drive for the guests for our questions. When we come back from halftime, we will have a kick return question, and then we'll also have a second drive question for our guest. And then we'll have a 2-minute warning where our guests will give us a little coaching speech to let our viewers listen to and take away from that. And then we'll have an end of a game, and that'll be the game over. And if we have to go to overtime, we will. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Coach Charlie Coiner, the creator of First Down Playbook. Coach, are you there?
I am. Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
How you doing, man? What's going on?
Well, just drawing some football plays and keeping everything in the road.
I hear you. Okay, so let's do this. When you say your name, if they don't know, hopefully a lot of people, and I do know this because I use it, with First Down Playbook. I think it's awesome and everything. But with our game plan and our pregame, Charlie, can you explain to our listening audience, give us a little rundown of your bio and things like that? So if someone never heard of you, please inform them.
Okay. Well, I started coaching back in 1983. I was at Appalachian State and was fortunate enough to get on staff as a volunteer coach with Mack Brown. So I was really fortunate. Of course, the world didn't know who Mack Brown was at the time, but he was a young 30-year-old coach that had just gotten a head job at Appalachian State, and I happened to be in grad school there, actually working in the physical education department with a graduate assistantship, but always knew that I had a yearning to coach football, and walked into his office and got an opportunity to, coach, and that's where it all started. I was at Appalachian through his tenure, which was only 1 year before he took off to Oklahoma, and the rest is kind of history with him. But at that point, I ended up staying with Sparky Woods for a period there, and then kind of got on the carousel. And I don't want to bore everybody with the whole litany of where all I've been, but it went through Minnesota and ended up going down through Tennessee, a couple places, Austin Peay State, Vanderbilt. I ended up out in Texas a couple times. And then Louisville, I'm just giving you the highlights, LSU, North Carolina, Tennessee. So, and then I eventually met a coach at Vanderbilt, who is one of my best friends, John Shoup, who a lot of the people in Chicago will remember. But John gave me an opportunity to come work for the Bears as his quality control coach when he was the offensive coordinator. So I worked there with him and Dick Duran. And then after we were let go, I actually moved out of the office at Chicago. And Jerry Angelo contacted me and asked me if I would be interested in coming back as a special teams assistant. And I did that and was fortunate enough to get to work with lovely staff of Dave Tobe, who Dave is now probably the premier special teams coach in the NFL. And I did that, but then Coach Duran had an opportunity at Buffalo and asked me if I would come back there and coach, or come back to there and coach the tight ends. And I had a yearning to get back on offense, so I did that with him for 4 years. And then At that point, when we were let go at Buffalo, it's kind of when this journey started with First Down Playbook. I really didn't know much about technology at all, but what I did know was that I was really frustrated in the fact that I'd coached nearly 30 years, and when we would be in a staff meeting or we would be, wherever talking about football plays, and somebody would say, well, how'd you do it at LSU? How'd you do it at Louisville? How'd you do it at this place? I'd go back in my office and I would dig around and try to find an answer. And I might, have books for 30 years. You got books a little bit everywhere in your office and at home. Mm-hmm. I might find it there or I might find it at home. But long story short, when I did find it, I'd come back the next day with it, and the coordinator would look at me like, dude, I figured that out last night. I know what we're doing now. And so anyway, with being out of football for what I thought would be a year, I started just trying to get all of my football ideas organized in one area to where essentially instead of going digging through boxes of books and having to carry around boxes of books throughout the country, what I would be able to do is I would be able to get on a computer and quickly go find, what I'd done. And so that's where it started. One thing led to another. I had a couple friends look at me and tell me, you could release, you could create an app that would be helpful to coaches. And so we went from that to ended up with the website that we have now that we launched in 2015, January 2015. What we realized was this: we kept trying to specialize in what we were doing for football coaches, meaning we had a drop back passing game app. And then, a lot of the coaches came to us and said, that's great, but our quarterback is a youth quarterback and he can't throw it from here to that door, so that doesn't help us. Mm-hmm. So then we did a youth app, and that was fine, but the varsity guys were then like, you've got to do a little bit more here. And we did a special teams app. But finally we came to the conclusion and around, like I said, January 15th of 2015, we launched a comprehensive website, and that'll become a mobile application at some point in time. But our idea was that to try to create a website where there's one place to where, regardless if you coach youth, high school, college, even in the NFL, to where you can actually go to find football ideas. And it might be tackle, it might be flag, it might be whatever. The idea was that it's like Dick's Sporting Goods store. Once you go in the Dick's Sporting Goods store, you go over here for tennis rackets, you go over here for basketballs, go back in the back corner for ski, whatever. But we organized this playbook in that manner, meaning that we tried to get it to where, regardless of what you were looking for football-wise, it was in there, and we had to get you to the right area. Now, it's a work in progress. We, since January 15th of 2015, we add content 3 times a week, and it's constantly growing. But it's over 33,000 football plays, defenses, and special team schemes in there right now, and also flag stuff. And we've got coaches not only all over the country, we've got coaches all over the globe that use it.
Yeah, I saw the thing. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. You're the official playbook resource of 2 countries right now. Is that correct?
We are. We've been fortunate enough to develop a relationship with USA Football, and that's helped us particularly in the youth market, because there are a lot of coaches in the youth level that, let's face it, I mean, coaching football is not their day job. Their day job might be a little bit of anything, but at the same time, if they don't have if they don't have some resource to help them coach, then they can't coach. Their kid might not be able to play football. So that's kind of the way we serve them, meaning it's a quick way to get inside of our playbook and get to the youth section, and bam, here's split backs, here's wishbone, here's a very simple version of spread, and here are our plays. And what we do differently with First Down Playbook is this, and this was me just with a coaching background. After getting out of coaching, I did get on the internet some and start looking around at what was out there. And typically what I found was, and what we found was, that you would see sometimes you would see just an absolute disastrous example of football, meaning that it was not sound. It was, there's no filter. If you want to get on the internet and put your play on there, you can do that. So you would see some stuff that was really bad and even at times dangerous to run that play. So that would be one of the things we would see. And then we would also see what we'd see is like a play drawn up against one defense. And that play would be drawn up. You'd be running the power against a 4-3, two high safeties, which obviously anybody who's coached football understands the numbers are pretty favorable for the offense there. But nobody ever did the detail of like, well, what if they drop the safety down strong or weak and, load the box on you? Any of those complicated things, that's really football. And the same thing with defense. You would see a defense drawn up against the perfect formation, but with no detail at all to what if they came out in a 3-by-1 instead of a 2-by-2 or a 2-back. So we challenged ourselves to at all levels, and I'm going back to the USA Football Canada relationships that we have. What we try to do is, particularly at the younger levels, when we draw a football play up on the offensive side, we try to block it up against 5 or 6 different fronts or defenses. And I say fronts when I'm talking about youth football, because typically you're going to be playing man coverage, and you're not going to get real tricky with quarters or halves.
We can't play quarters in youth football.
Well, not saying you can't, just saying they probably don't. But but the fronts are, the thing that I saw was that all these youth coaches were going out there and they were drawing up their play against a 5-3 or 6-2. Well, you're the guard and you've been practicing all week against a 5-3 and have nobody over top of you, and all of a sudden you jump in the game, it's a 6-2, and there's this cat lined up right over top of you, and he's looking at the coach like, this is not what we've been doing. We said that in order to really help coaches, we had to give them the ability not only to see all the things that could happen to them, but also make it intuitive as far as how you navigate through the website. So we created drop-down selections of the defense, and then when we were talking about the defensive side of it, we did the same thing. We're like, okay, this is what it looks like versus a 2-back set, and this is what it looks like versus a 2-by-2 and a 3-by-1, and here's the adjustments to motion. And so from a youth standpoint, we keep it very simple because we do understand that the quarterback is a different bird than what you're playing with in high school and definitely college. Now, as it gets to the high school part of it, and USA Football has migrated a little bit over into the high school area, and they're trying to do more and more, I think. But the thing that we tried to do there is the same thing, but now you're going to get into, so you're running that play, and we'll draw it up against a 2-deep, but we'll also draw it up against a strong roll or a weak roll, and all the things that could happen to them. And so we're trying to be detailed. We give coaching points with everything we do. If we draw up an offensive play, we give assignments for every player. We give our version of the coaching points. And Anthony, that only goes so far because we don't know your personnel.
Correct.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point there.
Yeah, we say that right up front. We give a read on a pass play. We might say read this Y to Z to H. Well, that's perfect, but unless your X is a stud and they're going to play man coverage on him, then you better alert that X and throw the go route. So anyway, we try not to act like we have all the answers.
You made a great point. Your program, First Down Playbook, is like Dick's Sporting Goods. You made it so you can go here, go there to get stuff. I don't mean maybe Dick's will sponsor the podcast or First Down Playbook if they haven't sponsored your stuff yet, though. But the one thing I did take from when you were talking about how, like, you would say you did this for them, and then more coaches would come. It's kind of like a teacher, right? You can't make everybody happy. You help one person, and then people are wanting more stuff. So, Coach, that's great and everything. Before we go to our kickoff question, can you please tell everybody, like, you have about, I want to say, almost 45,000 followers on Twitter. Do you mind like sharing your Twitter? And then also the first question will be something about your company, First Down Playbook. We'll dive into that, like where to go on the website with that. But could you first give me your Twitter for First Down Playbook?
Absolutely. It's at the letter FD, and then Playbook, Playbook.
Yep. And what I tell my viewers now, if you've never heard of First Down Playbook, definitely go to it at FD Playbook, because like I see Charlie on here, he's like even actually like doing videos and things like that. And that's awesome for teachers. You know, you can go to clinics, you can go to conferences and things like that, you know, but like they're giving you step by step right there. You know, it's with the digital world, like he just said earlier, it would be great if you can just buy a pass. And Charlie, this is what we got to do. We got to be like Shark Tank right now. So if anybody steals our idea, we're going to have to like get like 5% each. Well, you can get 20, I'll take 30 or whatever, or 21.
There you go. I hear you.
But imagine doing a online conference, a coaching clinic, all online. So you don't even have to leave the house. You know, you still go and network, right? And that's going to be one of my questions later on. But if you couldn't do it because you have a kid, or your wife just had a kid, or you're sick, you got the flu or something, and you can't make it, that would be something cool where it pretty much lets you go to that room and you can watch that coach. I don't know if you like that idea, but that's something that I always thought would be kind of really awesome to do.
Well, I do like the idea, and the Twitter following has been amazing, to be honest. I mean, I don't even know if you can do this. I don't know if you can buy Twitter followers, but we have not. we have 45,000. You're right, nearly 45,000 Twitter followers, and the reason we have them is purely because of the content. In other words, I figured out. I'm not real smart. I'm a football coach, but I figured out real early in this that our secret sauce, if it's a secret or whatever, is that we have football plays, lots of them, and people like football plays, and so that's the way we try to keep in touch with football coaches. We follow a lot of football coaches. And we can't follow everybody, but I'll skim through it, and you can get trends. But yeah, that our Twitter following is a large part of our success, and the reason that we've got as many as we do followers is that people love football plays, and I don't know if this is the right time to talk about it or not, but your idea, Anthony, is definitely something that we've thought about. We have what we call a coaches community site, and if anybody's out there and wants to write this down, they should. If I'm going to sell, I'll tell you where our play website is later, but this is not selling because it's free. There's a website out there that we put something on every single day, and it's absolutely free, no charge. And it's at
free.
No charge.
Free,
absolutely
right?
free. Yep,
okay, so
it's
I
absolutely
like
free.
I like
absolutely.
free.
The world likes free. That's why this website has really taken off, and it's good because we get to tell people about what we're doing on the Play website. But if you go to blog.firstdownapp.com, then this is what you're going to find: free stuff every day. And actually, hold on, let me make sure I'm giving you the right deal here. It's blog, spelled B-L-O-G. It's blog.firstdownplaybook.com.
Got it.
blog.firstdown, spell out the first, F-I-R-S-T, downplaybook.com. If you go there, you're going to see a big picture of Mike Singletary. It'll be the first thing that you see. But as you scroll down, you're going to see where every single day somebody goes on there. A lot of times it's me. And blog is a big word. I call blogging 3 or 4 paragraphs because I know typically I'm not going to write anything more than 3 paragraphs if people are interested in reading. But we do a lot of what you're talking about. A lot of what you're seeing on Twitter is on there also. And we have videos, and we'll pick out a topic. We might just talk about why it's important to jam a receiver at the line of scrimmage. We might talk about why it's important to get your back on the right side of protection, and also be able to tie it into the concept. Just little things, and that has been a huge success for us, that website. And obviously what we also do on that website is we talk a lot about what we're doing on firstdownplaybook.com, the regular site, and which is, once again, 33,000 plays, but you do have to pay after a week free trial on that website.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, by going with that blog thing, I'm not saying anything, but those must be awesome coaches, because I know you get awesome coaches to write blogs for you. I don't know any that have written blogs for you, but I know they're all awesome, I bet.
Yeah, we do. Here's the deal, and it's, I'm fortunate. I mean, I just told you about how my coaching career started. Okay, well, one of the first, maybe the first guy I met was Mack Brown. I mean, that's a good start from a standpoint of getting in a, they say coaching tree or a family. And so, yeah, I am very lucky and very fortunate to know a lot of people who have been very successful in the football world. And so, yeah, to be able to lean on them, to be able to have them to blog or have input, that helps. And I'll be completely candid with the listeners right now. There's no arrogance coming here at all. My coaching career spanned 31 years, all right? So 9 of it in the NFL and the rest of it in college football. Well, when I went down this road and started trying to help coaches, and I do believe we do as good a job as anybody of actually helping people who want to coach. But I had to take a step back and take a big teaspoon or shovel of humility too, because I went and I looked at who we were actually trying to help. Okay, youth coaches and high school coaches, and I had to be honest with myself. How much wing T have you ever run, buddy? In major college football or the NFL? How much of flex bone? How much of there was a ton of stuff that I had to go and study. But the thing about it is that 2 things. One is I've got a very diverse background in football, meaning I worked on offense, defense, and special teams. And if I don't know football from the standpoint of all 3 phases, then my life's pretty much been a waste, because that's all I've done with it, right? Since I graduated from college. So it's allowed me to, first of all, there's not a whole lot I can't look into, and if I don't already know it, I can learn it. And then the other thing is that I've got a pretty good Rolodex of, hey, what are they doing with this quarter's coverage here? It looks a little different than anything I've ever done. And I can pick the phone up and call some people, whether it be at whatever level, NFL, college, or high school, and they'll get on the phone with me, get on a screen share, and go, no, this is what they're doing. They're making it look like this, or they're playing trap on the backside or whatever. So that's good. It's good. Once again, I'm humble from the standpoint of we don't have all the answers over here. I promise you that much. But I'll also say nice. if you run into anybody that says they do, keep moving and run fast, because they're selling you down the river on something.
Okay, awesome. So let's go with the kickoff, Coach. Okay, kickoff question. Here we go. The kickoff question is this. Okay, you've already pretty much touched base on the First Down Playbook. The viewers now know that hey, we're talking to a former NFL special teams coach and a former NFL tight ends coach. You're on Coach Mack Brown's coaching tree. It's huge. Explain to the audience. Give them your website now, and I know you already did about the blogs. But give them your website, and you already explained about the 33,000 plays. But I do like the one thing you said earlier. You said there's a 10-day free trial, a 10-day free trial. So, go into that, and then if you don't mind, I mean, you don't have to touch all bases because you already explained a little bit about your company. But, tell them about, is there any way they can get discounts, free membership, like you said, 10 days, and what's new on the horizon?
The main core website of what we do is called firstdownplaybook.com, and it's spelled out FIRST, playbook.com. First Down Playbook it's a reference tool with over 33,000 football plays, offense, defense, special teams, youth, flag, you name it. And as I mentioned earlier, what we do with a football play is a little bit different than what we've seen elsewhere, where we go in and we detail the play out as far as how it's blocked up, coaching points, and all that. What we also do with the website is we organize it to where if a youth coach gets in there, we can get them over to where they need to be. They don't need to be looking at the same plays that, you know, some of my buddies are looking at that coach in the NFL that use it as a reference tool, you know, to bounce off of one another and get ideas. So we try to get you where you need to be very quickly, offense, defense, special teams. So once you get inside of there, the uniqueness doesn't really stop there because once you find the play that you want, you can actually, you know, save that play to your favorites. You can move it over into your playbook. You can, you can create best third down plays, best plays to get the ball to my tight end, best defenses to stop the spread, best kickoff returns versus corner kick. You can organize the plays over in your playbook area the way you want to organize them. So you can, once you get you can email these plays to the kids on your team. You can print the plays out. We have a lot of coaches that simply take our plays, and what they'll do is they'll use them to run against their offense or against their defense because, you know, they're drawn up really. It'll save a coach a ton of time to not have to start from scratch and do everything from, you know, drawing the center on out. So we help the coaches there a lot. We also, once you get a playbook made, it's an automatic PowerPoint. Forever and ever, when I was in the NFL and college, oftentimes I was the guy that had to take whatever meeting we were going to install and create a PowerPoint so the coordinator could get up in front of the group and talk about what we were going to run that day. Well, we created First Down Playbook in a way that when you move a play over into a playbook, let's say you move 10 plays, all you can do at that point is open that playbook up, reorder those plays, and tap one button, and you're automatically into a slideshow. You don't even have to create a PowerPoint. So we were thinking down the road a lot, Anthony, when we did this, meaning that we have a vision of where this should go or where it can go. We don't ever want to quit being a reference tool for coaches because we think at some point in time that and it's already getting there to where coaches who go in and Google wing T or Google best plays versus cover six or quarters coverage or quarter halves, we think that at some point they're just going to come to First Down Playbook and look there because they understand that there's going to be some version of it in there. So that is right now what we serve the public with at all levels. We're a reference tool for coaches of all levels to come and find plays. Now, the way they can do it, we understand that, you better let people actually come in and shop around a little bit. So we allow people to go to our website, which once again is firstdownplaybook.com. If you go to firstdownplaybook.com and go to sign up, you will see that we have two memberships. You can get a year membership, which costs $99, and you can get a monthly membership, which some of the youth coaches use because they may only use it 2 months out of the year, for $29. And so we offer a free week membership to anybody that comes. You get one free week. You can't come back later and get another free week and all that. But what you can do is go and sign up, and you get one free week. We don't charge you until 1 week is up. If you cancel your subscription before 1 week is up, then we don't charge you. But if you come back in 6 months and sign up, then you're immediately charged. So that to us, we thought that was a fair way of a week is a lot of time to be able to go in there and actually see what we have to offer. If it's not for you, no harm, no foul. Just cancel the subscription, and we'll keep getting more and more content in there. At some point, it will be for you. But that's the way that you access First Down Playbook right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sorry, because you asked me something earlier. We have never taken this to high school staffs before until 2018. We just haven't, because here's what First Down Play. I've been telling you what First Down Playbook is. What First Down Playbook is not right now is that when you get a play from First Down Playbook, it's what they call a PNG, meaning it is a static play that cannot be altered. You can't take the quarterback. If you look at a play like, I really love this play, I can't take that quarterback and move him from under the center to gun. I can't take the tight end and move him from next to the tackle out. What you see is what you get. You can edit the play name, but you cannot edit the play yet. So we've known for a long time that the progression would be to, at some point, we were going to have to hand the chalk back to the coaches or to the customer or to the user, however you want to phrase it, and allow them to take our play content and edit it either however slightly or however much they want it to, and call it their own. So that is the process that we're going through right now. We're in development stages with that. We don't have a release date on it. But what I felt like going into 2018 was, after multiple meetings with our staff, was we felt like there was enough content in First Down Playbook right now, and it's only been verified with our conversations over the past really month and a half with high school coaches as they look at it. We felt like that there was enough content in there to help a high school coach as it is. And with the promise of developing an editing tool down the road, we could actually take this finally for the first time and offer it to a football staff. And so what we've done is this, and we're working very hard to make the message simple. You know, because we've sat down over the past week and go, we need to make sure we're not complicating this. But essentially, we're selling a lot of individuals at $100 a year, which is $8.33 a month, which is a heck of a deal for as much content as you have in there.
That's cheaper than Netflix.
It's yes, it is.
I mean,
I'm sure Netflix could be more entertaining, but anyway,
if you think about it, you know, if you're a football coach, right, and your wife and you're married and your wife's watching a show you don't want, you could just turn on your phone or your laptop or your iPad, look at this. And the one thing I like about First Down Playbook, and I don't mean to like try to sell your product for you, Charlie, is when you're talking about your plays, you even have the capability, like say, hey, I got this play, and you can flip it.
Right.
You know, and the other thing I like is, like, especially for youth coaches out there, okay, I'm telling you now, youth coaches, if you get a chance, go to firstdownplaybook.com. He even has a thing where if you just go to an offense, like a double wing or whatever you want to run, and he has a play in there for you, he has it even like he'll block it for you for different defenses. So, like, I'm looking at a 6-2, and then I go to a 4-4 split and double wing. You have it all there for him. It's like it's a playbook right there for you. And I think that's what's really awesome, too, about your product.
And I appreciate you saying that. And as a reference to what, that's where we were with it from a standpoint of we've always felt like for a youth coach it was a no-brainer. I mean, to be able to go get that information and not have to leave your home. Let's face it, youth coaches don't go to clinics like high school coaches do. But even, you know, what we came to the conclusion of, Anthony, is that this winter, like we're talking a lot about it on Twitter and all social media and our email list, is that you're going to go to – I've attended and spoken to many high school clinics, and they're good, let's face it. But you go and you've got 4 speakers going at the same time, or unless you're different than any of the people I know, you can't be but at one of them at one time. And so you're going to maybe go over a period of 2 or 3 days, you're going to attend, if you're devoted to it, then you're going to maybe attend 8 of them. And so with First Down Playbook, you know, we look at the cost of going to a clinic, of traveling to a clinic, of getting the hotel room for 2 nights. And I know you're going to be piling in the room with your buddies and all that.
Yeah, you always have to, right?
Right. Well, exactly. But you're going to eat and you're going to drink. You know, you're going to have some drinks with your buddies and all that. So it's hard to go. It's hard to go to a coaching. Absolutely. Nothing any stronger than that. Right. But and at the end of the day, you're going to come back and your wife's going to look at the credit card. She will go like, that was $250 you just spent, and you were gone another weekend, and it's not even football season. So to me, I look at First Down Playbook and go, here is a walking clinic, a living clinic that lives in your phone, on your tablet, and on your laptop and desktop, that comes to you 365 days of the year, 24/7. And you have the ability to not only go in and see the plays and see different football and get to what you want, is that you also have the ability to, I don't know what your notes look like when you go to the clinic. I take them, I try to keep up, and I start off and they're really neat. By the time I get to like the fourth lecture, I'm scribbling, and I get home, I can't even read what I wrote. But
all of the one thing with that, I would say with coaches, if you do go to a clinic, have your iPad, because everyone has an iPad nowadays, right, or a tablet.
Right.
I videotape it, and I try to take notes because I have an app called Notability, and I think I should get a sponsorship for this, right? But Notability will let you record the app. It'll let you record while you're typing like just a regular like a Word document, and then you can also dry erase on that document too. And then you can even insert a picture too. So you take a picture of that clinic, of the screen you want, then you can do that and put that on there. But that's what I've been using ever since probably, I want to say 2008, 2009. But it's a Notability app. It's like $9.99. It's I love it. I use it for teaching, use it for coaching, and use it for everything.
That sounds like a heck of a deal. And yeah, like I said, there's depending on how disciplined you are and devoted you are with it. And Anthony, that you're on the way upper end of that. But
thank you for that.
But even looking at it that way, like I said, we let's look at this week. This week we're releasing 2-back slot pass plays. All of them have coaching points, and we're I'm trying to think. We're adjusting one of the 3-4 pressures that we put in last week, the tight end trades, and then at the end of the week, and this comes directly from what the high school coaches have told us they want. We're going to start delving into goal line unbalanced fronts and runs.
Ooh, I love it.
So and that's the one thing. Going back to what I said a little bit ago, we've learned. We're listening to the coaches because they're starting to go in and go, we love this. We'd like you to do the same thing for this. And so that's where we are right now. And back to the high schools, what we've done is this, and I think this is important. If you're out there listening and you are a high school coach, this is important to understand. We're calling the current version that we have, where you cannot edit the plays, we're calling it 1.0. In other words, it's the reference tool. So we, going into 2018, what we have done is we have emailed every head coach in the United States a free promo code for 1 year to First Down Playbook 1.0. And I'm sure people are going like, well, what are you doing giving your product away for free if it's any good? And why would you do that? How are you making any money? Well, first of all, we're selling on the street really well, and we are selling to not everybody the head coach. It's one head coach.
Correct.
Right.
One head coach.
So, but our thinking is this: is we want as many programs out there to have 1.0 in their building before we release 2.0, and because we know what the narrative is. When people have 1.0, they look at it. I'll just take a coach last week from Kentucky. He looked at it for the first time, had him on the phone, trying to get to their state high school association, and he was the director of the high school association, said, let this coach look at it. If he likes it, we'll put it out there. Coach looked at it. He was on the phone as we were going through it, and he said, Charlie, if you have one problem, I know what it is. And I'm like, oh, here we go. He said, your problem is that I'm 58 years old, and I've coached since I got out of college, and this is overwhelming me a little bit. He said, this is intimidating. He said, I see how you get through it. And so I thought, well, if a coach being intimidated by how much football's in there is our worst problem, we're going to be all right. But he followed up by saying, I go to 3 clinics a year, and I've done it since I've got, like I said, he told me, he said, I'm 2 years older than you or something like that. He said, there's more football in here than all the clinics I've ever been to. So we're hearing that type of feedback from veteran coaches who, to be quite honest, oftentimes run away from technology when they see it. But we have had a tremendous response from the high school coaches. Now, we understand that we have got to give them the ability to edit the plays. So what we're doing right now, like I said, we understand that if we get it out there to all the high schools at some point, that they're going to look at it, they're going to love it, they're going to be pretty amazed at how much football is in it, and then they're eventually going to go like, I want to edit that play. I want to edit that defense. I want to edit that kickoff return that you just did. So that is a good problem to have. That's a good narrative to have when your plans are to release an editing tool here within the next little bit.
There's the whistle. That's our kickoff question, Coach. Let's go right into the first drive question, Coach, if that's okay. Now, to go into the second part, like I said, we're going to need to tell, because there's got to be a sequel. If there's 1.0, you know how it is. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy. There's Volume 1, there's Volume 2. So I don't know if it's 2.0 or you'll tell our viewers in a second. But the one thing I would say, too, is if you are a youth coach, high school coach, whatever, make sure you try to do the 10 days free trial if you haven't yet. If you are a high school head coach, though, in the United States of America, please check your email. And Coach Coiner, if they did not get the email or maybe they lost it in spam, is there a way they can contact you or something, or how would that work?
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you asked.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I'm selling your product for you. I hope you.
No, I was anticipating that question as we got into it. Yeah, if you the first thing is you're looking for the email, and we know it gets caught up in spam or a lot of coaches are just busy and don't get to it. But it's going to come from info at firstdownapp.com or info at firstdownplaybook.com. It'll come from one of those two places. And if you did not get it and you're a head coach and you want to find out how to get it, all you need to do is you need just to email us at one of those. And once again, that's info at firstdownplaybook.com or info at firstdownapp.com. Either one, we'll get it. And just say I'm a head coach at this school.
High school,
High school. That's a high school, all high school.
High school, okay. I just want to make sure the viewers, I don't want you to get a ton of middle school coaches, a ton of grade school coaches. Be like, hey, he said it. No, if you're listening right now, it's high school coaches.
Right.
And, Coach, really quick. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to get here, and here's a phone number too. And so write this down. If you call this number and leave a message, we'll get it to you. But our phone number at First Down Playbook is 512-814-6158. 512-814-6158, and that comes directly to our office.
And, Coach, you don't mind if we post the phone number, remind all the high school coaches, head coaches, on our, like when this blog, I'm thinking of blogs now because you hadn't even blogs. When this podcast is released, you don't mind if we leave the Twitter handle, the website stuff, and all that information on there too for them to just get a one-stop shop right there. Is that okay with you?
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I know what we're doing right now, Coach, is we are reaching out to the high school association. So let me take it a step further. So, we talked to you about the editing tool when it comes out and, our current version. But right now what we're also offering, we know that it's already happening. We're having coaches call us up and say, I like this. Obviously, I'm getting it for free, but how can I get, I've got a staff of 10, 12, 15 or whatever. It varies from whatever state you're dealing with.
Good point.
So what we're doing is we're promoting a thing called the Staff Pack. And it's this First Down Playbook Staff Pack. And what we are doing is offering 15 memberships. If your staff is big and it's 16 or 17, we're not going to sweat that. But it's at least 15 memberships to First Down Playbook with the 1.0 version for $350, which is less than $25 per coach for a whole year. Now, the reason I'm talking to you about the state associations is this. We have developed partnerships with the state association in Georgia. We've got a deal with Texas High School Football Chat, who I know, Coach, you know who that is in Texas. We are working a deal with Kentucky, North Carolina, and Virginia right now. I've had a conversation with California. Eventually, we will have someone in all 50 states. And what they are doing is we're giving them a promo code that if the staff goes through that, they can get the First Down Playbook staff pack for $325, and First Down Playbook will donate $25 back to the state association that's sponsoring us. So we're trying to make it really easy and let's say that you're out there and you're going like, all right, I'm coaching out here and I've got I only have 8 coaches on my staff. Well, what we're telling coaches is that, we all have feeder programs. And if you want to get this program out to some of your JV coaches or whatnot, we have no problem with that. We want to make it available to as many coaches that will help you and your football program as possible.
I have a great, the follow-up question with the first drive question, Coach. A lot of places, or like podcast people will say, hey, send us your, like you were talking about clinics earlier. Hey, send us what you did at the clinic, and we'll either get you on the show or we'll take your stuff that you took all your notes and we'll use it, right? What happens is this, okay? Now, this is not a knock towards those podcasts or this or the program, but let's say I'm a high school coach or a youth coach, and I have plays I want on there. I'm not saying you're going to turn them away. Would you accept those down the road, or how would that work?
Yeah, well, I think that we already are. We tell coaches. We tell coaches all the time. We're going to listen to the squeaky wheel, and we're going to be smart, and we're not putting bad football on First Down Playbook.
I understand that totally, because the one thing I see is like you guys got your stuff right, and you probably have a bunch of people. I'm not saying you have a bunch of people working for you, but that's a lot of plays. And I think what you're doing is you're taking suggestions, like you said earlier during the intro, the pregame. You're like, we're listening to these coaches. So that's why I came up with that question, because it seems like you're like, anytime someone says, hey, I wish you had this or this, it's like, okay, it looks like you're adding it, or it's already on that horizon. Like you said, you're adding more stuff just recently.
We do. Trust me, the reason we worked extensively, this time last year, we were working extensively on Flexbone and Wing T, and that was purely because the coaches were they were clamoring for it. And so, that's what we're doing. We're trying to listen to what's out there. Some of the spread stuff, to be quite frank, is stuff that we already had. It's just sometimes it's the tempo they run it at, and maybe there's little nuances about their RPO. It's hard for us to replicate somebody's RPO because they're all slightly different. But the good thing about it is that when we give the coaches the ability to edit the plays slightly, they're going to be able to go find something that's really close to what they have been doing, and it's going to be sitting right there for them to make minor adjustments to. So, but to answer your question, absolutely, we listen, and that's not the problem. The problem is that we start working on offense, and the defensive guys get mad, and we start working on defense, and the special teams guys are going, what about us? And then, it won't be too much longer here, and we're going to have to really turn our focus back to the youth. And I don't know how many flag football people we got listening to this podcast, but I'm here to tell you right now, it is absolutely blowing up in our country. 7-on-7 football and flag football, particularly, with Florida playing the co-ed and female flag football down there with 7-on-7, and the new flag football league that's come out in the professional ranks this spring, it is about to be huge. And I'm not going to get into why and all that, but the one thing that I have learned is that we're sitting there and we go to college and we graduate from college, whether we play football or not. And if we play football, we play football. If we didn't, there's intramurals. But a lot of people are, you're 24, 25, and you got your sport and social club. I know there's a huge sport and social club in the city of Chicago, but you've got that and just a ton of young people that want to keep playing this game. I mean, it's such a fun game to be able to drop back and throw the ball around, and it's basketball on grass. And a lot of these, these kids have come up differently than we did. Meaning, 7-on-7 was period 10 through 12 for us. Well, 7-on-7 to them has been like going out back and playing basketball. I mean, it's what they do. So, to have versions of 7-on-7 and to have flag out there is just a natural, and the numbers are just blowing up across the country. So if we have a problem, it's that we have to keep everybody happy, but we try to do a good job of balancing that.
That's awesome. There's the whistle, Coach. So now we're at halftime. So let's get the marching band out there, and then we're going to come back with our kickoff return question. Okay?
Okay.
The Big Four, a physical education book written by Coach Anthony Stone, can be purchased through the following locations: Amazon, iTunes, BarnesandNoble.com, and Kobo.
Brunch, $30.
Hey, that's okay, Wendy. That was a good carry. You're still the man. You're the man.
Latte, $4.
Shake it off, Johnny. Rub some dirt on it.
New piano, $3,000.
All right, guys. They're not saying boo. They're saying movers.
Supporting your team. Priceless.
It's all right, Bobby. You still got the best arm in the neighborhood.
There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
This is BCAF, right?
Okay, we're back from halftime. We're back to the Coach Stone podcast. We got Coach Charlie Coiner on the line, former NFL coach, former college coach. He's pretty much done it all. His coaching tree, Mack Brown is the top of his tree, and then it goes down. And then you also him with the Chicago Bears and also the Buffalo Bills. But, Coach, I hope you got enough water for that halftime break. The next question I have for you is this. Your program, First Down Playbook, it's pretty much playbook, right? And, not to say anything with, saying, I want to thank you for one, and that's going to be another question. But, I wrote a blog for you back last March about, making the playbook keep it simple, stupid, or keep it small and simple, right? Mm-hmm. Explain to our viewers what you think, a lot of these youth coaches nowadays, now like when we played youth football, right, our coaches yelled at us, our coaches did that, but they had great FBI, football intelligence, right? And I'm not saying none of the youth coaches today, I'm not saying not every coach in youth, we have a lot of great youth coaches, right? And I would love to get some of them on there because there's a lot of podcasts out there. They don't hit up the youth coaches, right? They just hit up, the high school coaches or the 17-time state champion coaches. They want that big name, right? Even though you are a big name, I'm going to owe you a favor. I know that. But, explain to our audience the size of a playbook for every level, right? In my new book I'm writing, Back to the Basics Manual, I say it like this. Your playbook should not be bigger than your age group, okay?
No doubt.
So if you have a 9-year-old you're teaching, you should not have 90 formations, right? There's no way. But there are some coaches that do. Explain to our audience what you think a good set of plays are for a youth program. What's your, magic number if you would, if that's okay?
Well, I think that the magic numbers is going to vary. So I'm not going to put a number on it, but I will say this. I think that we get our chops busted a little bit because we have 33,000 plays, right? And so we talk a lot about the fact that we have 33,000 plays. Obviously, because we want to impress upon the public the depth and the scope of what we can offer. But we obviously don't want any team out there, whether it's the Chicago Bears or the Chicago Pee-wees, to try to even get their brain wrapped around 33,000 plays. So the volume of plays that we have, and we talk a lot about this, the volume of plays that we have is to offer a diversity to all the different people. Once again, like I said earlier in the podcast, if you run wishbone, get over here. If you run spread, get over here. It's the old saying, see a little, see a lot. See a lot, see nothing. And so if you get in there and you're over here and you're pulling plays from the wishbone, and now you're over here and you're getting flexbone plays, and now you're getting spread plays, and you're 3-4 and you're 4-3 and you're overnight, like, well, you're going to implode. So our message is get to where you need to be in first down playbook and get there quickly. And now do exactly what you're talking about. Look at your football. First of all, look at your football IQ. Look at your football background. Because
that's okay. If I'm good at Madden, am I a great coach? Is that no?
Well,
I'm sorry. I hear that all the time.
But that's hard to do. I mean, I've coached for 30 years, and it is so easy at every level to have too much offense or too much defense in your game plan. It's just human nature.
One thing you said earlier, Coach, I'm sorry. One thing you said earlier is you talked about personnel too. Earlier in the podcast, you said about playbooks. You need to know what personnel you have. And the one thing I like about your little setup with your website, it says youth coach, click here. High school varsity coach, click here. You pretty much are telling the youth coaches you're not supposed to run a varsity offense at the youth level. Does that make sense?
No doubt. No, that's exactly what we're saying, because we don't, every one of our pass plays in the youth is really a 3-step, or, if it's a deep pass, it's a 1, 2, 3, get the ball out down the field. But yeah, the personnel is so important. We blog in that coaches community site, and we, as we get closer to the youth area, the youth time of year, we spend a lot of time just helping people who are coaching for the first time. And one of our first lessons is, before you draw one play or take one first down playbook offensive play or one first down playbook defense, you need to look at who is going to be on your team. I mean, do you have a bunch of small kids that can move around? Do you have a lot of bigger kids that are, going to be hard to move around? But look at your personnel. Do you have a quarterback that can even throw it from here to that door? And maybe you do. But I see so many people that coach at the youth level, and they do one of two things, and it's to be understood. But they go and they put in the offense that they know from high school, or the defense that they know from high school, when it has nothing to do with what the talent level they're going to be playing with, and it ends up being disastrous. So to me, the personnel part of it is extremely important. And then, yes, to get back to what you asked earlier, we try to point out that if you're coaching a youth team, really get it down to, try to get it down, and I guess I am putting a number on it, get it down to 4, maybe 5 running plays, because let's face it, if you've got 4 running plays and you run them to the right and to the left, that's 8. And the defense plays 2 or 3 fronts to it, so that's 3 times 8. That's 24. If you actually do what the people do in the NFL level, and the college level, and the high school level, meaning create a hit chart of where your plays are going to go, meaning make sure you've got something to the weak side, make sure you have something to the strong side, make sure you have something inside, off tackle, right and left, and up the middle, and then get you a few pass plays, you're going to be fine. It's all about, as you know, it's all about the execution of what you do. And yes. And you talk a lot about this, and I follow what you do with your daily motivation things and all that. But to me, the other thing that people say to us sometimes, they go like, well, well, Coach, you've got plays, but we need to talk, we need to teach fundamentals and technique. And I'm like, you bet.
Back to the basics. And anyone listening, if you want to back to the basics camp, Coach Coiner just sold me.
Yeah, it is. And people go like, well, you're always talking about plays. Well, we talk about plays because that's what we do. In other words, if you're working down at off of Rush Street or whatever job you have, and you're also coaching on the weekend, you don't have time to go looking through all this stuff. We want to make it to where you can go find the offense, the defense that you want to find, and you're not busy drawing plays and creating playbooks. So guess what you can be doing with that time? You can be actually organizing your practices to where over here we're going to teach about proper stance to get into, a proper safe stance. We're going to teach tackling over here. We're going to teach blocking over here. We're going to get back and actually be able to teach the fundamentals of the game. Now, the face of our company is Mike Singletary, and obviously your audience knows very well who that is. And
yes,
that's one of his big deals. And one of the proudest things I am about First Down Playbook is that Coach Singletary is the face of our company, but we did not go find him. He found us. He was alerted to First Down Playbook, and he looked at it, and he pretty much called me up on the phone one day and said, I want to hear more about what you're doing. And so we talked, and his whole thing is that, yeah, Charlie, he said, we need to quit spending time drawing cards for practice. We need to quit spending time with playbooks. We need to quit spending time trying to out-scheme one another. If First Down Playbook can do what I think it can, then we're going to free coaches up to get back to the fundamentals of the game. And that's been his message the whole time about the value of it. So yeah, circling back around to the youth coaches, I think that you've got to put yourself in the kids' shoes. Meaning, if I'm playing right guard, how many things, if you look at it and you really spend time with it, you can break it down. How many things am I asking that kid to do? He's blocking down. He's base blocking. He's pulling across center. What all do I have him doing? If you've got him doing more than 6 or 7 things, you're probably dreaming a little bit at that, at the youth level.
That's a good point too, because I see they have all these different new things out, right, with these other football programs, like you were saying earlier, and other things that I'm not going to say, but they got one where a kid has to play every position, right? If a kid plays every position at the youth level, okay, and it's a different type of football, smaller field, all that stuff. If that's the case, and he's going to be like the one play's got to be lineman, next play's quarterback, next play could be running back, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. With our youth coaches, the biggest thing I always hear, like when you hear all the big, bad, negative things towards football, because, football is one of those sports that is attacked, right? They say it's education, right? Educating the coaches, right? But here's the thing. If we're not educating the coaches more and we're changing the game to, instead of having like flag, and then like, my buddy in Texas has this extreme flag football that's really phenomenal, I think, and then make it like tackle. With if you go from flag to football or flag to something else, then to tackle, but if you're telling like you said, a guard to block a play 4 different ways or 6 different ways, and then you teach him running back, how do we know that coach that's doing that league is educated enough to teach that one kid at that young age 60 different things? If that makes sense.
Right. No, it
because
does.
It's hard. It's really hard to say, hey, let's do this, but the biggest thing is like your playbook, right? With flag football, I can just go to your thing, boom. Now I know you don't have any running plays for flag. I would love to like throw mine in there. If that's okay. But like,
no, we have running plays for flag.
Oh, you do?
We categorize our flag plays by 3 ways on offense. We call drop back. Yeah, that's okay. No, we do drop back plays. We do quick game, and then we do RPOs because as we look at it, the run. A lot of the run plays, as we're seeing it, are run-pass option, meaning that, okay, yeah, you can predetermine it in the huddle if you're the coach. like we've done all of our 5v5 plays right now are NFL flag sanctioned. And there's only, the quarterback can't run and all that type of thing. But, yeah, so if you run one of our RPO plays, you could just tell the quarterback, hand that ball off. Or you could tell the quarterback, you fake that handoff and then boot away and throw the pass. Or you can, if your quarterback is starting to get the hang of it, then what we do is we say, read it. If you want to hand it off, hand it off. If you want to fake the handoffs. And the thing we tried to do with flag football, and it's good. It's a good segue, as they say, to what we're talking about. Because you're talking about essentially out there the mantra is now, and I'm not. These people know a lot more about this than I do, but the evolution is flag to modified to tackle now, and I see merits with that. But the one thing that you just said is very accurate. It's not just flag modified to tackle, in my opinion. It's what are we teaching the kids at every level. It's still important, and that's what I guess what you were pointing out about the modified. So our credo, whatever you want to call it, with flag is this. So if you're going to play flag football, all for it. First of all, I'm not here to say tackle, not tackle, what age. That there are people a lot smarter than I am about that. But if you're going to play flag football, I think that the things that you can take from flag to the next level are, okay, you can teach stance as far as skill positions. You can teach takeoff. You can teach how to run a route. You can teach assignment football, meaning that if I'm the right receiver and I'm running a curl route, I'm running a curl route. I'm not just out there running around. And if I'm the quarterback, I can actually go through a read progression. And so, if you want to rotate the kids where now the quarterback's will go play the right receiver and all that. But if you're going to do that, just like in modified, if you're going to do that, it's exactly what you were just saying. If you were going to have 10 plays and play everybody at the same position the whole game, and now you make the decision that you're going to rotate the kids, you better get that 10 plays down to 4 plays.
Hey, all I gotta say is, I mean, I'm not knocking any program. Like you said, we're not doctors. I'm not a doctor. I'm not I might be for soon because I'm going to go back to school. But my thing is this though: if you say, like you said, you're going to have to make the plays a lot less, and then how do you know, or how are you going to run your practice plan? How is that practice plan going to be? Because I think I'm pretty good at practice plans, right, Charlie? I'm not. I mean, we've talked a couple times, right? You've seen a couple of my practice plans in play, and I even have backup plans. You know what I'm saying? But if you're trying to teach, like, let's say 10 plays, right? Because I know coaches are going to. I mean, I would go with 10 plays. But if you're doing, like you said, a different type of tackle football, then I got to teach. Like, if I have a smaller roster, yes, but how is that smaller roster going to master every single position before the first game unless I go 5 days a week? And you can't go 5 days a week because how I say as a teacher, you teach what grade they're in, right? So if they're in first grade, you get a minute of instruction. If you're teaching fourth grade, you get a 4-minute instruction period. And that's not the case with all those grades because you might have a couple kids on those teams that, don't want to pick the grass. Look at the butterfly at the youth level. But I think you said, like you said, 10 plays is great. It's one thing I put in my Back to the Basics book that's coming out soon. I said, hey, you got to have a certain number of plays. And the number one play in youth football, get that toss. Toss or jet sweep. You get to the outside and you have someone fast. I'm telling you right now, you're going to thank us in the long run. There's the whistle. We're done with our kick return question. I think that was an awesome question, too. And before we go to the second drive, Coach, I just want you to know I was very fortunate. I know my brother's going to hate this if he ever hears this, but I was very fortunate. I remember calling him on the way home from Hallis Hall one time. I had an opportunity to do a mom's clinic with Mike Singletary, and I'm going to tell you right now, best guy in the world. I just want you to know that he's phenomenal. I thanked him that day that he was there. My family was there, and we got a picture with him even, too. And the one thing I said to him, the first thing I said, hello, Mr. Singletary. And he's like, oh, no, it's not, you don't have to call me that. And then I was like, oh, I'm like, because like he's like, being a little kid in Chicago, watching him play, and I'll tell you this right now, and you probably know this too, Coach Coiner, he still could play.
Oh, he's amazing, yeah.
And I told him that too, and we were doing the drills, and he's doing the drills with us. I'm like, Mr. Singletary? And he's like, no, it's not that. You got to stop saying that, Stone. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm like, you still got it. And he just chuckled and looked at me. And I go, I just want you to know if my brother was here, he'd probably hug you right now. And he just laughed. But I just wanted to tell you that was my Mike Singletary story. And, he's a great guy. And, a lot of his quotes. And, the one thing I'm hoping, and I want him to know this, if he ever listens to this, he should be a head coach. He needs to get back as a head coach in the NFL, because I thought he was doing great things where he was at, and then, it didn't work out. Hopefully down the road he'll want to do that again. And, maybe he'll even say, hey, Coach Stone, guess what? You can be a water boy on staff. I'll be like, I'm right there, sir. I'm there. But I'll probably say Mr. Singletary when I interview with him.
Yeah,
he really took me.
Yeah, Coach is an extraordinary ambassador for the game in so many different ways. So
my gosh. I would, if he ever wanted to do a Back to the Basics camp in Chicago, I'd be all for it. And that's, with my company, Back to the Basics, you talked about fundamentals. And and I said it in my book, is everything we do, right, even now the new things that are going on in football, we always go back to the basics, if you ever notice. Like we have this new technology, new art of this, new art of that, doing this, and then what do? We go back to the basics. And like you said, and that's why I say instead of fundamentals, back to the basics. Okay, Coach, let's go to the second drive question, okay? Networking with coaches, okay? The one thing I do before we end this thing, I want to thank you for letting me write blog for First Down Playbook. So like when you talked about the blog.firstdown.com website, I've written 7 blogs. You can search for certain coaches too in there. I know you had a couple of coaches that have done blogs for you. But I want to thank you. One of the blogs that helped me get exposure, with networking was it was every offensive lineman even have a skill position, and because that's the biggest thing out there. It was, a lot of offensive linemen, they would say, oh, these guys are not skilled, right? But that's not true, because at the end of the day, all football positions are skilled positions. And I wrote that article, that blog for you, and I don't know if that was the most popular one I wrote for you, but I know I got a lot of feedback, and a lot of linemen thanked me for it, because here's the thing. The running back, the tailback, the quarterback, they can do everything, right? But without those 5 linemen, they're nothing. Being a former quarterback, I know that. Because if I ever went against Mike Singletary and he had an open shot at me, I probably would not be alive today. Because he hit so hard. You know what I mean? Because, he did a great job. But let's tell the viewing audience, when you're networking with coaches, what tips or advice do you have with them about, like, trying to get their foot in the door, trying to get that next job, or trying to be like you said, you started with Mack Brown. That's pretty amazing. And then you went to Dick Duran with the Bears, then you followed them over to Buffalo. Just give this is for every level too, youth, high school, college, whatever. Just like give her some tips about just networking with coaches.
It's a good question, and it's I get it a lot. Meaning, how do I get here? How do I get there? And so I just want, before I go down that road, I want to make sure that, and I mean this, like, once again, I'm almost 58 years old, and the older I get, the more I understand, and that's one of the things that First Down Playbook has helped me with a lot. The best coaches are not necessarily coaching on Sunday, and that's the absolute honest truth. They're not necessarily coaching at the college level either. I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm saying there are tremendous coaches at all levels out there, all the way to youth. There are people who have devoted their life to being the best youth football coach that they can be, and I've looked at things they do, and I'm blown away. I really am. Just like, wow, the things that you have to do in some ways are so much harder than the guy has to do when he gets a third-round draft pick. And they get it done. So I just want to start with that, meaning that good does not mean, and then a lot of young guys think like, okay, the good ones are here in the NFL, and then the ones that are almost that good are in college. It's not that at all. But I will say this. I will say that be realistic about your goals, meaning I was fortunate from a standpoint I walked in the right office and Mack Brown happened to be there. But I'll also, without talking too much about myself, be honest that I'm 57 years old and single. I've never been married. And one of the reasons it's probably hard to find somebody to put up with me, but another reason is that I've really made it my goal to get to the NFL or major college football. And I was going to do whatever I could do to do that, and that included sacrificing family. And not necessarily my mom and dad, but meaning that I was not going to start a family instead of that. And so that's not for everybody. And in fact, I promise you it's not for everybody. And I'm starting there from a standpoint of if you're not everybody, but if you're a great player or you've got somebody here or there to help you, it's one thing. But it's really, really hard just because of the numbers. There are fewer NFL coaches than there are any other type, just because there's only 32 teams. There are fewer college coaches than there are high school, just because there's fewer teams. So my recommendation is that as a young football coach, sit down and really evaluate why you're in it. What are you looking for? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to spend a lot of time with your kids? Do you want to stay married? Because there are a lot of coaches that don't when they start down that path. So I think a lot of people watch TV on Sunday or Saturday and they go, "Wow, that would be pretty cool." But it is a cutthroat, ruthless business at the NFL and the college level. You're making more money than has ever been made before, but your longevity is about 2 years before you have to pick up and move again to maybe you're lucky, maybe you're only going to move 2 states over, but maybe you're going to be moving from Miami to Seattle. There's no guarantee. So I'm starting there, and I'm not trying to rain on the parade before we get.
No, you just scared all the listeners. Just said screw. I'm hoping that they said no more coaching, no more coaching.
Well, I'm hoping what they said was that, and I tell people this all the time. Once again, I do have some advice for people how to network. But yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone with these coaches right now. We're talking. I was talking to a coach in Connecticut the other day, and he was exactly my age. And I said, Coach, I was just reading your bio, and I said, 35 years at the same place, and he's now the head coach. And he's like, "Yep." I said, "Coach, I got to tell you, I'm not complaining about my career at all, but I'm sitting there looking at, and this guy's won like 300. I don't know, it was like some crazy deal, like 200, high 200 wins." And I'm going like, man, there's something to be said for the path that this guy took. So, I think I got into coaching because of my high school coach. I know that he changed my life. He made me want to be him. So I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of benefits to being a great high school coach, as good as you can be. And if you can, if you want to be a head coach, great. If you don't, but being in one area and changing people's lives, changing kids' lives, and at the same time staying in one area and keeping your family intact, I think there's a lot to be said for that. But if you want to network, and this kind of, I'll go back to just what I tell people, is that after you make your mind up, if you're just dead set on the fact that I want to be in the NFL one of these days, or I want to be in major college football, the advice I give young coaches is you got to go get in the circle you want to be in. And I mean, and I see people make this mistake all the time. They'll take a they'll have a choice between, and it's not as bad as it used to be, but they'll have a choice between working for virtually nothing and almost for free at a major college place, and it used to be, now you can't even get in the door in the NFL, it seems like, but people used to turn down an NFL job because it just wasn't paying as much as they could make at this other school. Maybe it was a 1AA school or whatever. But the way coaching works, the way I've always seen it work, is that you network with who you work with. And if you want to get in the NFL, the hardest thing is to get in the building. I mean,
yes. I know that.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. If you don't get in the building, you don't have, now once you get in the building, you don't have it made, because once you get in the building, you better be the first one there and the last one to leave, and you better master everything they give you, and hopefully somebody will give you more. And it's not complicated. Essentially, you want them to give you so much work that if you were to leave, that they would feel the pain. And at that point, that's when you start, getting opportunities to get paid and to maybe get a promotion and get different responsibilities. But it's really that simple, in my opinion. Once again, not being judgmental about which level is the right one to get into, but I do tell people all the time that, if you have an opportunity to get in a major college building or get in an NFL building, I don't care if they don't pay you. You've got to get in that building.
Yeah. Well, you know what the NFL stands for sometimes, not for long, right?
Yeah, that's what it stands for all the time. unless Tom Brady's playing quarterback for you, that's what it stands for. So
exactly. The funny thing too is, like, we were just talking about networking. I answered that question. Last year, I was fortunate. My wife gave me a birthday gift, to go to Clemson University's coaching clinic during spring break. And I thought it was awesome because even, like, they just won the national championship and everything, but it was kind of cool that the assistant coaches there treated every high school coach like a person.
Yep.
I mean, there was one time where Danny Pearman, the assistant head coach there, let me go into a room, him and one of the a coach, I forgot the coach they brought in, but he was from the Midwest, like Southern Midwest, and he was a really good small-time college head coach. And they let us three talk for about an hour, just Xing and O'ing, and me listening to them like a sponge was the greatest thing from that whole week, I think.
Right.
But I think, like, and I'm not bragging about Clemson or nothing, but I thought that program, what they did with those coaches, their coaching staff, treating the high school coaches like actual coaches, because I've been to some clinics and I've been to some college, clinics. I don't know, you've probably been there too, right? Where it's just like they're there and then they leave. They don't give you the time of day. Where these guys actually gave every single coach the time and day. So, that's just my tidbit for networking. And I do want to thank the Clemson Tigers for doing that last year. And then I even got a picture with Dobo Sweeney. That even made the icing on the cake. It was on my birthday. So that was awesome.
And they once again, they do that as well as anybody. It's the recruiting part of it, and it is. It's a different type of relationship, but in college athletics, period, but particularly football, you need to develop relationships because you just never know. I mean, it's just amazing how, and if you don't, how it comes back to bite you right in the rear.
Yes, it does.
The first time you're bad to somebody, no doubt. So yeah, I think that's I just had a conversation yesterday with a former player of mine at the Buffalo Bills, and he's now coaching at Boise State. He's a GA, and it gets back to the networking thing. And he was like, what should I do? I said, all right. I said, here's the two things I'm going to tell you, because this I'm going to call him a kid. He's got 3 kids, but he's really smart. And I said, the first mistake that you can make is to not stay in touch with the guys you've made a relationship with until you need something. In other words, if somebody doesn't hear from you for 3 years, don't bother calling them to try to help you, for job recommendation. I said,
tell me about it.
Right, you got to, and I said, you've got to stay in touch with them. Drop them a note, a phone call, or go attend one of their spring practices or whatever, but keep your contacts alive. And now we're getting into more what you asked me initially about the networking part of it.
Yes.
You know, if you do have relationships out there, keep them alive. I said the first mistake is that you don't do that, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from somebody and go like, I haven't heard from you in 3 years, but now you want me to give you a job recommendation because you want a job at Rutgers. Like, hold on. And then I said the second thing that you can do that's wrong is to just bug the heck out of somebody all the time. I said, don't do that either. I said, it's a natural balance between, you know, they have a big win. That's, you know, you got their number, text them, congrats, you know, get out of their hair. They have spring practice, you know, try to get in situations just like you did with Danny Pierman and the guys at Clemson. Try to get in the situation to where you're actually talking ball. And, you know, those type of situations are the best. And that's why, like, with the minority internships, I used to watch, you know, my 9 years in NFL, and I used to watch how guys would approach those. And you'd have some guys come in and do the internships, and they were only going to be there for, you know, 3 games. But some of them would come in and try to impress the full-time coaches with their ability to coach. And then some would come in and they would try to impress the full-time coaches with their ability to work, meaning, you know, there's always in training camp, there's always quality control guys that are up till 1 or 2 in the morning, still breaking down the practice from the night before, or you know, whatever. They're trying to do way too much work. And it was always interesting to me how some of these guys would come in and have an opportunity, and what they would do, they would all want to do the stuff on the field. But yet, when it came time for the late night and the meetings were over with, it might be 10:30, and the quality control guys were still there working, they wouldn't jump in and help out with the computer stuff. I'm thinking, if you get a job in the NFL, that's how you're probably going to get it. It's through the quality control. So anyway, that's just one more example. I think that if you get in situations where you get to be around those guys, show them that you'll work, show them that you're not too good for anything, because odds are those coaches have they've had their share of the grunge work that got them there.
Mm-hmm. The one thing with networking too, anyone that's listening, if I haven't called you in a couple of years, like Charlie said, listen, I have 5 kids, so I just want you to know that. Yeah, that's a full-time job there in itself.
So,
but Charlie, if you could say Coach Stone gets a pass for at least 10 years, that'd be great.
That's right.
I know there's a couple of coaches I haven't called in 2 years. And listen, guys, I just talked to a coach I haven't talked to since August, just the other day on social media, and we talked for 2 minutes, about 10 texts, and he thought it was the greatest thing next to butter, and I was like, sir, I'm so sorry, I didn't forget about you. It's just, got so many kids, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it, Coach. I know you're busy. You had that other one on the way when I last saw you. So
no doubt. I've never had any children, and you've got 5, so I have really no idea what you're talking about.
If you ever want to come over, listen, my wife does a great job. I don't know, we got to play zone defense though, but she does a great job. She lets me do my back to the basics camps, for all the youth programs, high school moms of football and things like that I've designed, and then, you and I work with Jen Walter. She does an excellent job with the Gridiron Girls and her camp on the corner stuff. But it's just, if it wasn't for her, I don't know how I would do it. And, she's my biggest fan, biggest supporter. There's the whistle, Coach. 2-minute warning. You got a couple minutes. What do you want to leave with the audience listening right now?
Well, to finish up from a standpoint of First Down Playbook, the great thing about these last 4 or 5 years has been I had an opportunity to coach for 30, and now I've gotten into the quote-unquote technology side of it, and it's been interesting because I've seen the bridge and I've also seen the divide in the two. And what First Down Playbook is trying to do is this. We're trying to offer both from a standpoint of we want to offer the football part of it to coaches, meaning that they can pretty much understand that if it's coming from us, Once again, we don't have all the answers, and we don't know your personnel, but it is, grounded and backed by football people. But at the same time, we're in a different world right now. And if you think that you have the same talent level as the guy you're playing and you're not going to use technology to help you, and he is, you're going to get in trouble. And here's why. Nobody's going to, you might have somebody talking to you about this app to help you call plays or this, that, and the other, but it gets down to the one thing that we all fight. I don't care who you are, and it's time. If technology offers you the ability to do things better, faster, and the other component is it allows you to relate to your player, which is a millennial or a Gen Z kid, then you've got to consider doing it, because if your opponent is doing it and you've got the same talent as you do, you're going to find yourself in trouble at some point, because you might say, well, I'm not going to worry about that stuff. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to out-coach the fundamentals and technique. Well, you might, but the trouble is that his whole coaching staff is going to have more time to do it, because they've actually found a way to get rid of some of the side work that holds us all up from doing that. So my final deal here with the 2-minute warning would be this, is that not just talking about First Down Playbook, because that's what we do, but I think that coaches, and I'm finding older coaches being more open to this in the last 2 or 3 years, because you sit there and you go, okay, if a 33-year-old or however old can go coach the Los Angeles Rams and take them to the playoffs, who says a 30-some-year-old can't come over here North Schaumburg or whatever and take that program and do the same thing if I'm not careful? So I'm seeing a lot of older coaches, and I say older my age, that are going, Coach, I'm kind of past it, but I see how people are using it to their advantage. I've got some younger guys on my staff that I want to visit with you. And so that would be my advice from a standpoint to coaches. And my advice to people in the tech world would be this, is to understand that if there are a lot of people in the tech world that don't create anything, all they do is facilitate what's already there. A good example and a very successful example is Huddle. Huddle is one of the greatest things to happen to high school football. But if you think about it, there's nothing right, and it was done by people with no football acronym at all. I mean, they essentially took what we were doing that was so critical to our profession, meaning the ability to look at video, and they put it in the cloud, and they expanded it about 9 ways from Sunday between recruiting, and grandma wants to look at it, and now it's golf, and now it's Europe, and now it's soccer and all that. But the thing about it is that they found something that was so critical to the industry, and they created a solution to driving across the county to exchange beta tapes or 16 millimeter, if you go back to guys my age, that it's just been a huge success story. But if you're not careful, you look out there and you see people trying to create the same thing, and they're doing it, and what they're trying to offer is not quite as critical as our video. And so I look at some other people out there, and I go like this group X and O Labs. I think they do a heck of a job. I think they offer a lot of merit to the coaches, and they're not very technical at all. But what they are is they're football coaches, and they understand that football coaches are always digging through, the internet, trying to find articles on the best way to do this RPO or the best way to run this coverage. And so they're very similar to what First Down Playbook is. So I'll take it full circle and say that I think First Down Playbook is a great bridge between coaches and technology, because we come from the coaching trees, we come from a coaching background, but at the same time we've evolved into the technology through the NFL and coming through quality control and all that. And our mission is to try to make sure that we're functional for coaches. In other words, don't waste their time. Don't give them garbage. And at the same time, we're looking at coaches and going, be open-minded. You have to understand that if it makes you better and it lets you do it faster, and it lets you relate to your kids in ways that you haven't been before, then you've got to open your mind and consider it. So that's kind of who we are.
The one thing you said about Huddle, the one thing I really like that they came out with recently, I don't know how many years ago, it's a couple of years now, the Huddle sideline for being a guy in the box, that just helps out immensely. Seeing that where, when I have a young, they put a lot of young coaches up there with me, teaching the young coaches what to look for, it just helps you out immensely. And then you don't have to worry about taking so many notes like you used to. Like you said, I remember being a college GA, and we had to drive 4 hours to just trade VHS films, And then I remember right after that, the following season, they came out with these things called DVDs. What are those things, right? So, all right. Well, Coach Coiner, thank you for that 2-minute warning wisdom. Now we're at the end of the game. I want to definitely thank Coach Charlie Coiner for the inventor of First Down Playbook. I want to thank you for being a guest on Coach Stone Podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening to Coach Stone Podcast. I also want to give a shout-out to JC Hawks Radio, JC Hawks Sports Network, for letting me do this. But I definitely wanted to say our next guest will be announced very shortly. So, Coach Coiner, again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And, all high school coaches out there, if you're a head high school coach, make sure if you have not gotten your free First Down Playbook 1.0, contact Coach Coiner at firstdownplaybook.com. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Coach Stone Podcast.